All right, so I'm Linden Skjeie, and I'm with the city's Environmental Services Department. And my job is to talk to the community about how to recycle right. And that's important because we're finding that a lot of non-recyclables are going into people's recycling containers, and a lot of contaminants like food and liquid. And this makes it so that those materials are not as recyclable. So if we recycle right, if people can mute themselves, that would be great.
Oh, okay.
I love that background.
Thank you. So anyway, the things that are the benefits of recycling right are that one, it saves energy. Two, it saves virgin materials like trees and like bauxite and fossil fuels and so forth. If people can please mute themselves, that would be great.
Oh, maybe Linden, since you're host, maybe you can just mute everyone and then just unmute yourself.
Oh, Lord. Oh, shoot. I'm doing this wrong.
Robert,
Yes.
can you mute yourself?
I don't know how to mute
So
people.
if you just click on participants at the bottom, like on the bottom where there's participants, yeah, and then you just kind of hover over each person's name. Like if you hover over.
Like that.
Yeah, like that. Yep.
Except you. I won't mute you because I might need you.
I'll mute myself for now.
All right. So can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. So getting back to why it's important, it saves energy. It reduces greenhouse gas emissions. It saves landfill space by keeping those materials from going into the landfill. And we've got one landfill in San Jose that we're using, and we want to be able to use it for a long time. And so we've come up with dozens and dozens of laws over the last 30, 40 years that govern different aspects of this. And then in around 2005, 2007, we came up with a 15-year goal to achieve what we considered to be zero waste by 2022. And we define zero waste as diverting 90% of the materials the waste materials that we generate at home away from the landfill. And we're in the like 75% range at this point. And recycling markets right now are pretty strong with the supply chain issues that we've had in the wake of the pandemic. So it's even more important in some ways to make sure that the materials that we put out are recyclable. And this is in part in response to a policy that China enacted around 2017 called China's National Sword. And that was where they said, you know, we've been taking all your recyclables for all these years, and for the most part, they're not in very good shape. They're contaminated, and that makes it hard, if not impossible, for us to use those. So we're going to crack down on you, and you need to start sending us more high quality materials, more clean materials. So periodically we do a little study of what's ending up in the recycling trucks in San Jose. And the last one that we did showed this kind of contamination throughout the city. So if you see yellow areas in the city here, those are areas that less than 35% of the stuff that's going into recycling containers is not recyclable. But the areas where it's red, and this is all over the place in San Jose, that was like 2/3 of the material that was going into recycling containers was not recyclable, which is a pretty shocking amount. And you know, that really compromises the viability of our recycling program, because if the recycling haulers can't sell those materials, then that could conceivably raise our rates. So just to get us all on the same page, if you live in a single family house, then I'm sure you're familiar with the gray cart with the blue top, which is your recycling container. The black container is your garbage container, and most people in San Jose have a 32-gallon container, which is the smallest one. But they also come in 64 and 96-gallon size as well for a higher fee per month. And so if you're finding on a regular basis that you don't have enough room in your garbage can for all the garbage that you're generating in a week, then it's important to upsize to a bigger container. If you find that you're having too much garbage just, every once in a while, like after a big party at your house or something like that, you can get an extra garbage sticker from the library or from a local grocery store for about $6, and you can put your extra garbage into a hefty bag, put that sticker on it, and then you can put that out on collection day and it'll be taken away. Most people put their yard trimmings out loose in the street, and then the big claw comes and gets them. Some people also get a green yard waste bin instead and use that. If you're in a multifamily situation, if it's a smaller complex, you might have a blue recycling container that's similar to the gray one that you'd have in a single family house. But if it's a slightly larger complex, then you would have the white recycling container, and then your garbage would go in the green container, which may seem a little counterintuitive. And then typically you can put your yard trimmings out in the street as well. So for a single family, this is what a typical set out looks like. If you have extra cardboard, you can lean it up against your recycling container. It's good to break down boxes before you put them in the recycling container so that they don't get caught in the chute at the top of the hauler truck, and then make it so they have to stop and get that out. Leave 2 feet between your recycling container and your garbage container so that the driver has enough room to be able to maneuver the claw around the container. Here's where that extra garbage can go. And another big one is to make sure that your yard trimmings pile is 5 feet away from the nearest car, because the claw needs room to be able to maneuver as well. If you have too many recyclables to go in your recycling container, you can put those in an extra bag next to your recycling container along with the used oil. There's no charge for extra recyclables. Excuse me. I've had COVID this last week, so I'm a little congested still. So then the 4 main categories of what you can put in your recycling container are the metals, which is the usual aluminum cans, tin cans, aluminum foil, scrap metals, like things like small appliances and so forth, cookware. And then paper and cardboard, you can put all manner of books and boxes. Envelopes you can put out, including ones with a little window box on them. You don't have to tear those out. If you put out shredded paper, make sure that you put it in a clear plastic bag, because shredded paper, along with some other items that I'll talk about in a moment, can gum up the conveyor belts and so forth at the material recovery facility and just stop the whole process in its tracks, and then they have to go up and dig it all out and so forth. Egg cartons, milk cartons and so forth, you can put all those out. Bottles and jars, all manner of bottles and jars that you would imagine. If it's got a metal top, it doesn't have to stay on the jar, because the magnets at the material recovery facility, or MRF as we call it, will grab those. And then plastic is the most problematic category for people, because as you're probably aware, there's on the bottom of plastic containers these days, there's the chasing arrow triangle, and in it it'll have a number between 1 and 7, and each number designates a different kind of plastic. And we take plastics number 1 through 5, but we don't take plastic number 6, which is polystyrene. And we don't take polystyrene in either the expanded form, like a insulated coffee cup, or the insulation that might come with a new appliance or something. And we also don't take it in its rigid form, which I found in things like vitamin bottles. So no plastic number 6 goes in the recycling container. Now, in terms of plastic number 7, which is the other category, there's 2 types of other plastic that we don't take, and that's compostable plastic or biodegradable plastic. or something called PLA, which stands for polylactic acid. And compostable biodegradable plastics, they behave differently in the sort of melting process that goes on with the other plastics, and can throw a wrench in those works. And so you need to keep those out of your recycling container as well. But these are the main things to keep out of the recycling container. It used to be that we took textiles and clothing and pillows and shoes and so forth, but we no longer take those in the recycling container. They just don't have enough value for the hauler. So if you can't donate those items or repurpose them to something else, then they just need to go in the garbage container. Now, I mentioned shredded paper as a tangler. Well, that's true for hoses, cords, hangers, and wires, as well as for plastic bags, wrap, film, and snack wrappers. And so we want to keep those out of the recycling container because, again, they can gum up the works at the material recovery facility and stop the processes and so forth. And then maybe this is obvious to people, but diapers and pet waste are also not recyclable. And pet waste also does not go in yard trimming piles, which is a little pet peeve of mine, especially since the pandemic when everybody's out walking their dogs. But the major category of problem materials that can end up in a recycling container are food contaminated packaging. So if you have a pizza box that's got grease and tomato sauce and so forth on it, that needs to go in the that needs to go in the garbage container. If you've got a drink container, make sure it's empty before it goes in the recycling container, a sriracha bottle and so forth. With say a hard plastic container such as this one, whatever food's left, you need to empty it out and scrape it out so that whatever remains can't run out over other items in your recycling container. So our big motto is no food, no liquid, no problem. So then people ask, well, how clean is clean? And for instance, here's a nut butter jar that I found in I can't remember if it was in the garbage or the recycling, but you can see that there's still a fair amount of nut butter in here and that it could potentially ooze out of this container and run over the paper or the other items that might be in my recycling container. And so then that would contaminate it. So like I said, no food, no liquid, no problem. We're not telling people that they need to rinse out their recyclables or make them pristine or whatever. We've got a major, drought going on. And so we don't want people using water to clean out their recyclables. But if you can just empty and scrape out these items so that anything that's left is not going to ooze out over other things, then that's going to be clean enough. So for instance, this, I've scraped out all the extra food from this, and that's not going to pose a problem in the recycling container. So that's the first cardinal rule of how to recycle right. The second cardinal rule is to not do something that we've referred to as wish cycling. And so I've been guilty of that. And basically, I've had an item, I wasn't sure if it was recyclable, but I hated the idea of it spending all eternity in the landfill. And so I'd put it in the recycling container and just hope that maybe they'd figure out something to do with it. But we don't want people to do that anymore because that too is considered a contaminant. And so what's a conscientious recycler to do? Well, now we have this wonderful recycling website called sanjoserecycles.org. And it's got this handy little search box right here. And you can put an item in there like floss or a fire extinguisher or, plastic number 6. Maybe you didn't remember which numbers I said, or, just all manner of items. There's over 400 items that you can look up on here, and it'll tell you if it goes in the garbage or the recycling or household hazardous waste, or if junk pickup, or if you need to do something special with it or whatever. And you can also ask your smart device, what does sanjoserecycle.org say about something? And it should get you there as well. So this is just a really wonderful encyclopedia that people can use to make sure that the items that or make sure that they know where to put different items. And we're happy to say that it's now available in Spanish as well. So all 400 of those items you can also look up in Spanish. And we're currently working on making it available in Vietnamese. And another thing that you can look up on sanjoserecycles.org is maybe you don't want to put your beverage containers in your recycling container. Maybe you want to redeem those beverage containers for the deposit that you put on them when you bought them. And so there's also a page on sanjoserecycles.org where you can look up where local recycling centers are located. So beyond our handy dandy recycling website, and also, I mean, San Jose's got pretty robust garbage and recycling services. I have to say, I'm pretty proud of what we offer our residents. We also have the junk pickup program, which is also free and unlimited. You can have as many appointments per year as you need, and you can put out as many items on an appointment as you can arrange for with the recycling hauler for that day, depending on how much room they happen to have on their truck at that moment. So if you have many items to put out, it might be more than one appointment, but you know, it's still free. You still put the stuff out at the curb and they come and get it on collection day. So I think that's a pretty amazing, robust program. The caveat to that is that the items that you put out need to have originated in San Jose. So if you've got a vacation home up in the hills or something, and you've got a sofa you want to get rid of up there, it's not kosher to bring it down here and put it out. The stuff needs to have originated in your house. And then the county manages the household hazardous waste drop-off program. So while it's free, like the junk pickup program is, it's they don't come to you. You have to take the materials to the household hazardous waste drop-off facility. But you can go to hhw.org to arrange an appointment, and then you can take things like old batteries and pesticides and old computers and pharmaceuticals and paints and so forth. Anything that's hazardous waste, you can put it in your trunk, take it to the drop-off location and pop the trunk. You don't have to get out of your car. The staff there comes out and they take the materials and they sequester them from each other so they're not a hazard to, you know, they're not going to react with each other, and then they get those disposed of properly. And this, I think, is especially important in terms of batteries, because batteries, if they go into a hauling truck or into a material recovery facility, they can cause fires. And those can be difficult to put out and cause a lot of property damage and, you know, stop the whole works until the facility is up and running again. Now, in terms of organics, like yard trimmings and food waste, the yard trimmings that we put out in San Jose all go to a facility in Gilroy called Z-Best. And there they're turned into compost and then used back in the community or in the county here in public areas like parks and medians on highways and so forth. And then maybe you're wondering about what happens to food waste. You may have heard about this new law called SB 1383, which came into effect at the beginning of January. And its goals are to reduce the amount of organic waste that's going into landfill by 75% by 2025. And also to make sure that any food that's usable, that's like come from a food service thing like at Stanford or San Jose State or whatever, that doesn't just go straight to landfill. If it's usable, then getting it to the people in the community who are perhaps food insecure. And part of the reason that we want to keep food out of the landfill is because in a landfill, organic material breaks down, as we say, anaerobically, which means that it doesn't break down in the presence of oxygen. And so that's how it creates methane, which is that potent greenhouse gas that you may have heard about. But when food is composted, it does break down in the presence of oxygen aerobically, and it doesn't create methane. So in San Jose, we're not having people use a separate food waste bucket for their food waste. We tried that and we found that not everybody was using it very well. So if you put any food waste into your garbage can, that's going to the garbage material recovery facility, and it's getting separated out from the garbage, and it too is going down to Z-Best and Gilroy and being turned into compost as well, and then being utilized back up here in the community. So you don't have to do anything different. No separate pail. You don't do anything differently. You can just put it in the garbage can. If you want to compost at home, we like to encourage people to do that because composting makes for healthier soil, and we need healthy soil everywhere. Healthy soil is better at sequestering carbon, and so we encourage people to compost at home. Now, if this has piqued your interest about all things recycling and garbage and so forth, we do have a monthly newsletter we call The Loop, and we encourage people to sign up for that. And I'll put the URL to sign up for it, this bit.ly URL, in the chat when I'm done. And we, would welcome you to get our monthly newsletter. But when's the best time to prevent waste? Well, it's really when you're buying things, because that's when you make choices that either create waste, or maybe you make a choice of something that's reusable, and then it won't create waste. So for instance, my husband and I, we have a sort of on-the-go kit that we keep in the trunk of our car. And so if we're out on a road trip and we get food, then we don't have to get the paper napkins because we've got our cloth napkins, and we don't have to use the plastic straws because we've got our stainless steel straws, and we don't have to use the plastic utensils because we've got our own utensils. Or we also have we have containers in case we go out to eat and we have leftovers, so we can use our containers instead of taking home more containers. So, you could look in your garbage can and just see what's going in the garbage can, and is there something that you could have bought differently that would have made it so that you didn't generate that garbage in the first place. So that's the place to sort of try and figure out how to reduce that. So basically, no food, no liquid, no problem. Empty and scrape, no need to rinse. And when in doubt, find out. Go to sanjoserecycles.org. So that's my spiel. So I'm gonna, thank you. I'm gonna see if I can unmute you all. Pooja, do you know? Oh, how did I mute you too?
I unmuted myself. I think everybody.
Oh, okay.
I think
I can
everybody.
maybe.
I think, Robert, do you want to unmute yourself if you have any questions? Richard, do you have any?
No, Gene, I want to say thank you, and for Linden, thank you. It was a very education, and I learned something. As I always take things for granted, I was doing it a certain way. Made me think about a couple of things, and I'm always trying to be very conscientious. But thank you, very good presentation.
I thought so too. I wrote down some of these places where you can go and, hazardous waste. I have an old mattress I want to be picked up. and I'll probably sign up for your little newsletter, bit.ly, the loop _ sign up.
Yeah, I'm putting it in the,
I was going to say, can you put it in the chat?
I am.
So yeah, we have a garbage disposal. So I put a lot of if I have waste, put it down in the garbage disposal, other than the coffee grounds.
Yeah, that's not unusual.
Yeah.
One thing I just remembered I forgot to mention is that when you put things in the recycling container, you don't need to put them in a bag. If you put them in loose, then that's even better when they get to material recovery facility because they don't have to have the bag breaker break open the bags. And so the stuff can just go on the conveyor belts, and so it facilitates it.
Yeah. Well, I know that when we go out, we're like you, we have our utensils and, but I never thought about having a doggy bag that you could, from home, that you can, take. I usually eat everything I buy, so there's no leftovers.
I
But-
even have a coworker who she arranged with her butcher that when she goes to the grocery store, she takes her own Tupperware containers to the meat counter, and he puts her purchases in her own Tupperware containers.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
cool.
she's sort of an Uber waste reducer.
Wow, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, well, are you, you have another meeting after this, right?
No, I had a meeting before this.
Oh, okay, okay.
So you're my second one, so I'm all
Okay.
set.
Could I ask one question?
Sure.
Yes, please.
Okay, I couldn't see on your presentation the household hazardous materials which the county manages. What was the website for that?
hhw.org. I'll put it in the chat.
hhw.org.
Right.
Yeah, that was for the batteries.
Yeah, but it's that. sort
I
of
don't
thing.
know if, I don't know if you discussed this while I was at my other meeting, but I know that the library often has, they do recycled batteries. For sure, the Milpitas Library, because they say, yeah,
Okay.
sure, we'll
We
take
can
your
try
old
that. I
battery.
have batteries to recycle. What about fluorescent lights?
Those are household hazardous waste. And so those have to go to the county program. And if you come up with things that you're not sure of after I leave, remember you can go to sanjoserecycles.org and it'll tell you.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to,
Jean, I'm sorry, what were you trying to ask though?
Yes, I was asking about fluorescent lights. Long.
No, I was asking Jean what she was trying to ask.
I don't think I was asking anything other than I was agreeing about the hazardous waste, the batteries.
Well, I
And-
guess I was asking your daughter.
Oh,
I guess
Marcel,
I'm confused about who's Jean and who's.
I know. Marcel, do you have any questions?
No, I just wanted to share that I know that if you have batteries and you want to dispose of them, libraries often have a bin.
Oh,
for
right.
it.
Right.
And for
Well,
sure,
and
the
so-
Milpitas Library. And Robert asked about the fluorescent lights, and you said that was hazardous household waste.
Right.
Yeah.
So they'll just take them on the county sites. Okay.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so we would be putting this up on the Rona site for people who couldn't make it, It wasn't, I think a lot of people thought they knew everything. So,
Well, then I would go to them because I still don't know everything myself.
Yeah.
It's,
yeah. And so
it can be
anyway,
sort of, it can be dizzying.
yeah. So I think I'm going to ask Pooja. She's got a little announcement regarding the cleanup, and so along the trails in our neighborhood. So is there anything more you want to say?
Yes, so let me just quickly flash the flyer. So this is the flyer for the cleanup, and I think, I mean, this is there on Rona's website. So Jean has put it up on the website, and so Rona is basically supporting this cleanup that I kind of worked with this organization, Keep Coyote Creek Beautiful, to put it together on November 12th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. I mean, so I went for an inspection of the trail along with Deb, who's basically the founder of this organization, and they do cleanups, like a lot of cleanups. They do cleanups pretty much every weekend on some section of the Coyote Creek Trail. So she and I like walked the whole length of the trail from actually from Montague to Tasman, and we saw that it wasn't that dirty actually. The trail was pretty clean for most part. There was some litter close to where the bridge is, like the Tasman Bridge, close to the Cisco offices. So we decided that we'll start there. And that way it'll also be easier for people who want to park, because there's no other place where there's like a good number of parking spots. So so yeah, we're going to start the cleanup. She's going to set up her table at at that section of the trail near the Cisco offices. And then people can walk towards the community where they live, or like walk towards Montague and keep picking litter as they see. Or but I think the idea of this cleanup is kind of dual purpose, I would say, Jean. One is, it's really a cleanup, so we want it's open to everyone, so it's not just for people who live in the neighborhood in this area, but it's open, like anybody's welcome to sign up. But so of course the main purpose is to pick out trash and do the cleanup, but then also I think the other purpose of it is to maybe act like a community event where people who are from this neighborhood, we can kind of work on this together and get to know each other and use it as a community building. And maybe when people sign up, Deb is going to have an option where they can indicate whether they live in this neighborhood or not. And then so when they check in on the day of the cleanup, we can maybe I don't know if you want to how I don't know how we'll do it, but we could, just say hello, gather the people from this neighborhood together, and you can let them know about these Rona meetings that you've been having. And we could use it as like a community building event as well.
Okay. Okay.
So if you want me to email the flyer is already there on the website. So if everybody could help promote it, that'll be great.
Right. So the only thing we need is the location, which is over by Cisco building.
Yes.
By Tasman. Okay.
And I sent you the exact location on email.
Okay. I'll go ahead and put that on our site.
Yeah, so I can also update the flyer with that meeting spot.
Okay.
Yes.
I think, okay, I was gonna say the flyer, I believe, says Tasman and Montague, not Cisco.
That's right. Because we hadn't decided at that point on what would be the
Okay.
exact spot. So I reserved this section you see over here, the flyer. I reserved a small section which says meeting spot. So I'm going to replace that with the actual meeting spot.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, sure. Just give me the updated flyers and I'll put them up there. I have them, I think, in, oh no, this is that. Yeah, just one flyer. The other one was 3 languages. Sorry. Yeah, just give me the new flyer and I'll update this.
Okay.
I mean, give it to my mom. She'll forward it to me.
Okay. Yeah.
Mom here. So, did you have anything you might want to talk about? I know.
Who's that?
Yeah. Do you have anything you might want to say or talk about?
Sure.
And then get
First
that
of
out.
all, I really appreciate the creek cleanup. That's wonderful. And we're always available to help out with Jennifer Coding. But, like anything else right now is the update on the drought. It's a very serious issue and we hope everybody continues. Some people think, because we say just do Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's not about that. It's about the water you use even on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You have to use less. The residents are responding well, but we're still in a severe drought. I think we're around 16% conservation. By you residents, you're doing a great job. But, we got to dam up the water. The Romans did it before us. That's just common sense. And we hope it rains, that everybody's working hard and the cost goes up. It doesn't stop. We're qualified for many, many grants and things are going well. Water Commission voted 8-0 for Pacheco. That's water that was That dam was built in 1939, so it has nothing to do with us. People don't know all the education, the real background. You got too many politicians try to outthink all of us, and they're making major mistakes. You, the public, you need water. I got mine. I want your grandchildren to have water. And Pacheco was built in 1939. All we're doing is restoring what was built in 1939. We just had a little tour at penitentiary plant with Hugo and council member David Cohen and their staff, so they can learn more about water and what we do. So, you know, we're really blessed because when you turn that tap on at 7:24, you get water. But right now, even my own little pond here in my 5 acres, which I use pond water to water my trees, it is down to 0 almost. So it's a really tough situation. And I use my shower continually, taking water into the trees. I don't use domestic water. So all I can do is, and Jean, the question to you is, I hope we can meet in person soon.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know.
But thank you for the time.
Okay. And Hugo, you're going to, you're saying that the city, well, you know, one of the ladies from our neighborhood here, she went out, she met the owner with the dogs. You know, they all came running out, the pit bulls. And so she had a talk with the man, and, you know, he's sorry that he's the way, you know, he lives that way. He does have a job. He doesn't want to lose his job. But so she did take some pictures of some cars that the license tags were old, and the wheels are flat. And so, you know, I don't know, but what I want to say was, the man said, oh yeah, the city comes out once a week, but they're not going to do anything to us. So, you know, I really don't like that attitude. And I don't know why he said it. I don't know who goes out on a weekly basis and talks to him. But I think we need to move a little bit quicker than what's happening now, because this is about going on almost 2 years now. So, and while she was there, there was a couple police cars that went past her, and they went into the Cadence site. So I don't know whether there was any issues with Cadence property. I don't know if you know anything about it, but you know, it's just, you know, I appreciate what you've done, but we need to do more.
Oh yeah, no, agreed. And if you guys think you have a problem, you should go across the street to Cruz. We just found out about that area, and that's horrible as well.
Yeah, I know. Yes, I know where it is. It is the worst street I have ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Very, very bad.
Yeah. So, you know, we have to find parking for these folks.
Yeah.
And I know Councilmember Cohen's been pushing the city manager, you know, in the last month. He's been saying, you know, this is enough, because we're not, you know, we can't just move these folks. So we can move them. And, you know, we had this issue at a creek where there were people camping in a creek and got them kicked out. 2 weeks later, they're back, right? So
Yeah.
The thing is, the solution is to find them a spot where they can go as people in the RVs, find them a place where they can go and park their RVs where, you know, it's a sanctioned place. Obviously the streets isn't going to cut it anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what he's trying to do. He's pushing really hard to get a place where these folks can go and stay.
Right. You know, I find that if you put signs up that says no parking anytime, I think that helps a lot. Also to, what about the 72-hour move your car every 72 hours?
Yeah. So, and the issue is that'll just move it, you know, somewhere else. And that's not really, I mean, it's not a solution, you know. So it'll get it out of that street. They'll go into your, you know, farther into your neighborhood. They might go over by, you know,
Well,
I don't know, more inside and cause more problems there than where they are now.
yeah, they're trying Village Center Drive, which is a private road. So we've been, the lady who took those pictures also told this one couple to, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And so she went out there and told them they can't be on that street. It's a private street. And they had littered the area. So she made them pick up their litter. And so they drove off. And then we found them in our complex. And his tags are 2014.
Mhm.
So we're keeping abreast in our neighborhood. But we need your help with Sealy too. And
Yeah.
the owner, and those owners, those two owners, they need to know too. They need to help you also.
I have a question if I may. Has anyone spoken to them? Because this is what I was talking with this about my mom. I said, I understand the situation, that there's not enough housing. By the way, I'm Marcel, even though I'm speaking under my mom's name. I was just helping her get on for anyone who came in late. Anyway, I understand the situation, that there's not enough housing, and I am sympathetic. I have to say, I do feel poorly for them. I wish nobody was in the situation that they're in. But I'll tell you, the thing that bothers me the most is how much they're trashing the place. If they were clean and neat and tidy, and I would probably say, hello and how's it going? But because they're making the place look bad, and it's trash. I mean, it's like they're just throwing trash on the ground. It's
Yeah.
not like, some of them are hoarders. I see more and more stuff piling up. So there's a real, issue going on there that's separate from whatever else is going on. But it's the fact that they just throw trash on the ground. They just don't care.
Mhm.
And has anyone spoken to them about keeping the place clean?
Yeah.
I mean,
so-
about taking the care, sort of being house proud of your little plot and taking care to keep the place clean. Because I think that a lot of what frustrates people is how dirty the place is looking and how much trash is piling up. And like I said, I understand there's a mental illness involved with people who hoard. But some of it isn't hoarding. It's just trash. It's just
No, I
throwing it
know.
on the
Yeah,
ground.
no, I know. I've seen it, and I'm thinking, why do you need all this stuff, right?
Exactly. Well, I'm thinking of the creek cleanup, and I'm like, maybe they can help with the creek cleanup.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looks like, like I said, I went by Sealy today. It looks like they did what's called an extended cleanup. And so the people that go out there every week are Beautify SJ, and they're the ones
Right.
that offer them the garbage collection services. So you'll see them, they'll stack those green bags, and the city gives them those green bags and put their garbage in there. And then the city will come and, they have or it's a city contractor, really, it's not city staff, that come and regularly and they'll pick up the garbage. Beautify SJ staff, their city staff, they actually do go out there and do tell them, you got to keep your area here clean, they have a certain amount of feet within their little, dwelling that they can keep some of their stuff. So that's what, those are the folks that do reach out to them, and they do reach out. And I think what happened there is you had an extended cleanup, which is just short of an abatement. So an abatement is where they go and basically tell them, you have, 72 hours to move.
Right.
But that happens in really rare cases when there's some sort of danger or something, or for some reason, it's a danger to the environment or whatever. But rarely does that happen. So the step just before that is the extended cleanup, where they go and tell them, well, you got to, either gather up your belongings, put them away, or we will come and, basically remove them. And I think that's what happened there, because it looked fairly clean. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been by there before and it does look horrible. And today it didn't look,
Okay.
besides the RVs, and they still do have some stuff, some possessions, on the
Right.
sidewalk area, but it didn't look horrible like it does before.
Right.
So,
So my question is, where do these people go to the bathroom? Where do they wash their hands? What about the dogs that run wild and poop on the land? I mean, sanitation has to be very important. And I just don't know where they go. What is there a lot of human waste?
I don't think so. I haven't heard, that. And I frankly, I'd like to know myself. And in RVs, they have facilities, and they, I don't know where they dump them. Some of them may dump it in the sewer, which is a problem.
Yeah.
And the dogs, that's an issue. So, we've sent animal control out there, but they have to witness, the animals running or something like that. Or if you have video of maybe a dog chasing someone, then they can give them a letter. We had issue with it, and I don't know if it's the same guy that still lives there, but with that guy, with the 3 dogs, they were big dogs, and they went out there repeatedly, and I think they left them a letter, and I think one of them eventually left. And I don't know if you guys have another one, but I mean, that's a common problem with the unhoused.
Yeah.
They do have, dogs that.
The lady went over a couple of days ago and took pictures, and all the dogs ran out toward her, and the man tried to bring it back. Well, she's not afraid of dogs. So she's been around dogs. Me, I would have screamed and ran,
Yeah,
ran over to Cadence or whatever.
yeah. But I
you know,
can send animal
they
control
freak
out there
out.
again. It's been a while since I've told them, hey, go out there and have a look. But I can just say, hey, there's some dogs there. Can you just take a drive and maybe they'll see something.
Keep the
And then
dog.
the abandoned cars. So that's another thing. Abandoned cars. City won't tow vehicles, even if they're, the tags are expired, whatever, if people are living in it, because these are now people's homes. So that's a problem too, right? Because now if you take their homes, now you have people living outside.
Right,
So that's just
there's one car that I've noticed, it's like there's a camper or a fifth wheel, whatever they call them. And then there's a car and it looks like, what they've done is they've parked up super close. So it's like they parked it's like a wagon of some sort, and not like a station wagon, but like a cart, it's got like a wooden sides and it's got stuff piled up in it. Then
Yeah,
they parked the car right up against the bumper. Then they parked their fifth wheel right up against the bumper. So you wouldn't be able to remove it. And the car has like the hood is off of it. And it's like they're robbing the car to give themselves power on their fifth wheel. And I'm sure the tags are expired or everything. No one's living in the car, but they're using the car for whatever, purposes that they've got. And they've parked it up in such a way that you wouldn't be able to remove it. But I've seen that. One of the things is the cheek of these people is when they go off to work, they put out traffic cones to save their parking spot.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I know.
So-
Yeah, so I mean, the main solution is, and this is, something that my boss is pushing for, is let's find them a place, because this is, and he mentioned, specifically, and I know he met with the city manager 2 weeks ago and took video of crews. He actually drove down there and took video of crews. There's like, I don't know how many RVs over there, and they have, when I went out there,
Oh, it's
a little
bad.
over a month ago, it looked like a flea market, just because they have, there's like, looks like metal recycling. I don't know what the heck they got going on over there.
It's
There's,
bad.
motorcycles, abandoned cars. So he mentioned that in your neighborhood.
Yeah,
So,
I've seen that now for the last year. I never said anything because I figured the businesses on that side of the street, I don't know if they had said anything.
Yeah, they're the ones who complained to us, and that's why,
Okay,
I'd only been to your side. I'd never been to that side till they complained
Right.
about a month
I know.
or so ago.
Yeah, when you're on Montague, you look over and there's the cruise and it is, it's bad. But anyway.
Yeah, and we did meet with some of the people, so one of the businesses with the CEO and the vice president. And, they're like, just get them out of there. And Councilmember Cohen was there and he said, well, all they're going to do is move across the street to Sealy. So we can, just move them. I know it's, and I know it's frustrating for
You
everybody.
can't move on Sealy. It's all taken up.
Yeah.
All the spots are gone.
Yeah.
Gee,
Oh,
gee.
they'll find spots, even if it's, not the best spot, but they'll find something. If,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. It's like, you can't push them out. They'll just go somewhere else. You can
Okay.
disperse them from Sealy. They'll just go into your neighborhood. So, but we're definitely working on it. If you guys have issues though with like garbage and like I've told you before, dogs, stuff like that,
Yeah.
we can work on that stuff until we can find these guys a place to
Sure.
go.
Okay.
Um,
Dick, did you have
Yeah, I
any?
was gonna just say to get ready, because when they get Columbus Park and take all those folks out here real soon, guess where they're coming? So it's gonna be a really tough time, and everything you guys are saying, we go through every day. The biggest issue right now is that we gotta get the mental facilities back. And that's the number one issue. We can go on, and that would cut it down to a quarter. And I don't hold me to the percent, but it's real. But most of you guys weren't around, but I was a fire captain back in 19 so-and-so. My calls was 150 a month. When Reagan closed down the Agnew hospitals, it went to 350 a month. So they're all living in the creek. The mental facilities are gone. We got to bring them back and let the county operate them, and everybody has to contribute to it, and that'll help us out. But everything like Hugo said, and I'm the head of the not the head, I'm the chair of the Unhoused Environmental Committee, and we take care of one strip. Following 2 weeks, they're all back. So it just never stops until people get housing, get in location. But the mental issue where people have to be monitored and can't get arrested, where we can give them, the drugs they need and all that stuff. That's the politician has to stop, and the federal and state government, along with our local people, have to contribute to the county who can administer these facilities, and you got to bring them back. And that's just the
Right.
bottom
Well,
line.
I agree. So it's almost 8 o'clock, and I'm going to, I thank everybody for showing up, and
Can
I,
I just say one more thing? I'm sorry.
yeah,
One
yeah.
more thing. So we want to do an e-waste collection there in your neighborhood. So I wanted to know what day works. And it looks like the 12th, since you're doing a litter pickup, would that be a good day to have like an e-waste collection at the same time?
E-waste, yeah. What is e-waste? E-waste is,
So computer stuff,
oh
you know,
yeah,
TV
definitely.
screens,
Yeah,
hard drives, laptops that don't work, phones, anything like electronic waste, basically, that you
Right.
can't throw in the regular trash, as you know,
Okay,
we were hearing
yeah.
earlier.
I,
So
I'm on
Yep.
the board, so so do you bring in a large van or something like that?
yeah, we bring it a bin to your neighborhood, park it somewhere, and then anybody who wants can go and throw away their stuff right there on that
Okay.
day.
Okay,
So if you guys have a date and a location, because I don't know exactly where we would put it.
I know, I have to ask the board where the location would
Okay.
be.
Yeah, and if you could
Wait,
just please
I
get
had
back
a
to me. and let me know.
question.
Yes.
So can we just have can the location be right next to the check-in table for the cleanup?
Yes, if there's space. I mean, I don't know how big the
Yeah.
bins are, but if there's space, yeah, we could do that. And if you
That's-
want to do it on the same day, I think that'd be great.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
just need to check,
okay.
make sure we got nothing else going on that day, and that should work.
Okay, so I'll send you the address, Jean, and then you can send it to Hugo and you can check it. It's a parking space of a big company, so there's
Yeah.
lots of
Okay, yeah,
space.
that might be great. And then you can get people to come for both things. I think that would,
Yeah,
be, you know,
that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's an excellent idea.
yeah, that sounds good.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear that Beautify, sounds like Beautify goes out there on a weekly basis and
Yeah.
collects. the
Yeah, but if
trash.
you see anything, just let me know, and then, you know, I'll make sure. Sometimes I got to push them because they
Yeah.
are busy. You know, they do the whole city.
Yeah,
So I have to push them sometimes. Hey, you know, go out there, go out there.
Sure.
So if you see anything, just send it over to me, and I'll, you know,
Sure.
I'll pass it on.
okay, great. Thank you very much, Hugo. And everybody, good night.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night.
Okay. I'm gonna
Bye,
end.
Mom.
Thank you for doing this.
Okay, you're welcome.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, leave.
I'm gonna end the meeting for all.